My name is Katie, and for my informative speech topic, I will be talking about fingerprints. If you look at your finger, you will see these small indents. The closer and longer you look, the more detail that will start to show up. You notice these lines start to move in a specific pattern. That is called your fingerprint. Not two people have been found to have the same fingerprint, which means they are totally unique. Fingerprints are even more unique than DNA, the genetic material made up of each of our cells. With a pair of identical twins, although they share the same DNA and genetic makeup, they do not share the same fingerprints. When it comes to the criminal justice field, fingerprints are collected, preserved, and identified using many different methods. A set of linked fingerprints can be taken to identify someone and is a permanent record of their whole entire life. I'm going to be talking about the major fingerprinting patterns, locating fingerprints with the different types of surfaces found on, and how you were able to lift them. There are different types of patterns for fingerprints: loops, arches, and whorls. In a loop pattern, the ridges will flow from one side, curve on the top, and then come on the opposite side. There are two types, an ulnar loop and a radial loop. Loops are found in 60 to 70% of fingerprints encountered. A whorl pattern consists of a concentric circle, so it just basically keeps going around in a circle. There are four different types: the plain whorl, the central pocket whorl, the double loop whorl, and then the accidental whorl. Whorls are found in 25 to 35% of the fingerprints encountered. An arch has a ridge that flows in and out on the opposite direction. There are two types of arches: the plain arch and the tented arch. An arch can be found in 5% of the fingerprints encountered. Therefore, they are the rarest. When someone is arrested, it is a standard procedure for them to put their fingerprints into AFIS, the Automatic Fingerprint Identification System, a computerized system maintained by the FBI, able to compare millions of fingerprints and used to find matches for identification purposes. A latent fingerprint is a fingerprint found which is usually deposited by oils and other residues left on your finger. It's not usually visible to the naked eye, but it may be detected with some techniques. The different types of surfaces on which prints are deposited on will affect their durability and the type of process used to develop them. There are three broad categories: non-porous, porous, and semi-porous. Non-porous surfaces are not absorbent. They repel moisture. For example, mirror, glasses, plastic, and different types of wood. These types of surfaces are more susceptible to damage because they are only on the outermost surface. Porous surfaces are absorbent, such as documents and cardboard. They are durable and fairly stable over a period of years, but can quickly fade and deteriorate with water or high humidity. Semi-porous surfaces, these surfaces both resist and absorb liquids and may be soaked into the surface. Semi-porous surfaces could include magazine covers and some types of cellophane. Now, being able to locate a fingerprint is not as easy as it looks in movies or shows. How crime scene investigators can just look at an object and see that they can lift the perfect fingerprint. Latent prints are such valuable evidence that extraordinary efforts can be made to recover them. It is imperative that an investigator thoroughly searches all surfaces in and around crime scenes that might retain prints. Gloves must be worn for this complete search. You may want to pay particular attention to less obvious places, such as toilet seats, toilet handles, dresser drawers, and cabinets, and tabletops. You also want to view the same crime scene as the criminal did. Pay attention to the time of day, the weather, the physical layout, and certain specific surfaces that were more closely examined. For example, a burglary should begin at the point of entry because it's important to see how the perpetrator went throughout the crime scene. It was well thought out and showed how they were able to move. Now, being able to lift a print is very challenging. There are four different methods: the use of transitional powders, the use of fluorescent powders, and an application of chemicals and superglue fuming. The most common type of developing latent/invisible prints is through the transitional powder method. It can also be possible to obtain a DNA sample from this method and will be able to help preserve the DNA if any present. Traditional powders can come in a wide range of colors. You want to use a specific color that will contrast the type of background of the surface that the print will be left on. By doing this, you will be able to make the fingerprint more visible to a naked eye. You don't want to apply too much of the powder, making the print too difficult to identify. Fluorescent fingerprint powders are designed to develop blatant prints on multicolored surfaces. When it comes to chemicals, they can be sprayed or brushed down on a surface being examined. You can also dip the object into which the prints in the solution or by fuming. The amino black dye is a dye sensitive to the properties in blood and is able to capture the blood proteins in a black bluish color. A genital dye is used to develop purplish latent prints on any side of like tape that you find or any sticky surface. A small particle regimen is used to develop latent prints that have been immersed in water. With all this knowledge, you will be able to locate a fingerprint, look at your own finger, and see what kind of print you have. While watching crime shows and movies, you will be able to see which type of dyes and observe how they are able to just look at a crime scene and find these fingerprints. Happy hunting!